Mr. Guy Cliff here to present a summary and analysis of the contemporary literary classic Native Son. The plot begins with the protagonist, Bigger Thomas, waking up to his mother's cries concerning a large rat in the small, cramped apartment in the ghetto of Chicago, where he resides with his multiple siblings and mother. At his mother's behest, Bigger begins working for an affluent white family named the Daltons. He begins driving Mary, the only child in the Dalton family. After a long night out in the town, both Mary and Bigger return to the Dalton residence, where Bigger kisses Mary in a drunken stupor before accidentally smothering her with her pillow. Bigger tries to conceal his crime by burning Mary's body in the Dalton's furnace. He decides to try to use the Dalton's prejudice against communists to frame Jan, one of Mary's communist friends, for Mary's disappearance. Bigger believes that the Daltons will assume that Jan is dangerous and that he may have kidnapped their daughter for political purposes. Additionally, Bigger takes advantage of the Daltons' racial prejudices to avoid suspicion, continuing to play the role of a timid, ignorant black servant who would be unable to commit such an act. Bigger becomes careless and decides to stage a fake ransom with his girlfriend Bessie. The police find Mary's bones in the furnace, causing Bigger and Bessie to flee. Bigger rapes, then murders Bessie before being caught in a massive shootout. In the resulting court case, Bigger is found guilty of all his crimes and is sentenced to death. Richard Wright overlays a very complex message onto a fairly simple plot. One part of the plot can be analyzed as an ascension from ignorance to enlightenment, with enlightenment not fully attained. The plot could also be seen as a sort of ironic twist on the notion of freedom. When Bigger is out of the jail, living the normal life of an African-American young man, he is constrained in many ways. When he is in jail and physically constrained, he feels the freest. Richard Wright's novel, Native Son, is a didactic novel. It is intended to teach its reader a lesson. The lesson of the novel is the connection between economic and social systems and individual actions and motivations. The novel's primary vision is its clear-sighted depiction of the cause and effect relationship between social conditions and individual actions. The idea that the two cannot be rationally separated, that the only reason they would be separated would be to mask the importance of those conditions and thereby keep them in place. The novel's primary blindness is its inability to see a structure of domination which operates inside the systems which it does recognize. It does not see that the domination of men over women parallels the domination of rich over poor, white over black. Wright clearly shows the important connections between social conditions and individual actions. He undermines the very American idea of rugged individualism, the idea that the economy and the political system are based on one person, one vote. In his characterization of his protagonist, Bigger Thomas, he does not dwell on Bigger's innermost thoughts, his philosophical speculations, or his romantic musings. Bigger Thomas has very few of these kinds of thoughts. He is too busy responding to the barrage of messages that come to him from all directions that he is worthless and barely human. His mother tells him when he wakes up that she cannot imagine why she even bore him. She expects him to fail her. She offers him only subservience and humility as a method of success in his life, but he sees what that method has gotten her. He watches her scrub other people's laundry at home and still scrape by for her pennies. He goes outside and sees white young men getting to do all that seems powerful and exciting, flying planes, fighting in wars, winning the most beautiful women. He leads his group of friends, but only in petty crime, too afraid to challenge the power structure that he knows win out over time. When he encounters European Americans who want to give him a good job in a spacious and clean room with plenty to eat, he has already been damaged by the deprivation of 20 years of life in utter poverty. He can only feel ashamed in front of them. He feels so threatened by them, by what he has been told in many different ways that they will do to him, that he kills their precious daughter. In running from this crime, he commits a series of heinous acts. He burns her body, he rapes his girlfriend, and then he kills his girlfriend and throws her body away as though it were trash. In the trial scenes, but also in what leads up to Bigger's crimes, Wright labors to establish that Bigger responded to overwhelming stimuli, that he did not act freely or alone, but under constraint. In a way, the importance of teaching that lesson kept Wright from dealing with what part of the crimes was after all within Bigger's power or responsibility. He must work so hard to prove determinism that he almost completely neglects to deal with that portion of individual responsibility that remains with people even in the most constrained of circumstances. Alright, go whenever you want.
Yo, 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 it's your boy Chisel.